Hi everybody, happy Saturday. Hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. For most of us, I think we have 2 more days off and then. So I had some thoughts about the soaps from last week, so I want to make 2 videos for sure about some extra thoughts I had about the soaps, and then I might do another one, and then I'll call it a day for today. Okay, so Y&R Extra. Like I said, I usually do these. I try to do them once a week, sometimes every 2 weeks. It's just when I have extra thoughts that I can't make. Well, I could make a video, but I'm trying to make it under 15 minutes and something, and I even try to do under 10. But so this is videos, so I can get my extra thoughts out, and they'll be a relatively short video. Okay, so here we go. Because we're talking about Y&R here, okay. The main focus is going to be, there are going to be 2 main focuses. The main focus will be Michael Miller and the direction of the character. And the number 2 focus will be something that I've noticed, that they change women. Okay, so Michael Miller and the character of Kyle. Now, well, I like the coupling of Claire and Kyle because they really are young, and I think that the Young and the Restless hasn't really focused on the younger set for a while now, so it's nice to see them go back to where it really started. I think. And then I was also thinking about the dynamics of. I really think they're either playing on the Romeo and Juliet thing, insofar as the families don't like each other. The Newmans and the Abbotts are known to clash, and very much over the years. So it would be perfect if 2 of the kids, like a kid from this family and a kid from the other family, got together and whatever. Another dynamic that I thought about is maybe they're trying to make another Victor and Nikki. I'm not saying super couple, but a younger version of a guy who has his own whatever enterprise or whatever you want to call it, and then she has her own thing too. So they're separate, but then they love each other on top of that. So then there's the other dynamic. So that's the way I see it. Now, if they're going to go this route, which I really hope they do, I did talk about this facet of it yesterday. I like the fact that they actually made a decision and they're going to do it. Because I was on the fence of what are they going to do? Are they going to split them up? Are they going to keep them together? Are they going to work it out? Or what? So I'm really, really hoping they work it out because I really want them to get married. Now, I don't want them to get married tomorrow, obviously, but relatively soon because, well, I'm a proponent of when you know, you know. I really do believe that. So if they go with that line, then everything will be good. Now, if they do become a couple and get married and the whole thing, then the other question is how many challenges are they going to face? Is it going to be, every couple of years or every couple of whatever, they're going to have some kind of something and they're going to work their way through it? Or is it going to be happiness for a couple of years or 3 years or whatever? And then there's going to be a problem. I don't know. Um, but I like Kyle because, and I have watched the character of Kyle over the years. Um, he really seems to be, in the past, he was very, well, he tried to follow the rules and he wanted his parents to be happy. Therefore, trying to get their happiness, he forwent or whatever, his own desires and what he wanted to do in his own life. Whereas now he's standing on his own 2 feet and he does speak his mind and all that stuff. And I think it's because of Claire, because, okay, he's only had a few relationships in his life, really. He was married to Summer, and although they made a good couple, I could see it wasn't going to last, and not because of their age, just because of all the stuff they had to go through from even before they became a couple, and then it just increased as they got married and stuff. So I could kind of see that they weren't going to be forever. Okay, then you have him with Audra, but then again, I knew that was a fling too, and then if you want to go really deep, if he really loved Summer, he wouldn't have even thought about Audra. So there. And then with Claire, um, first of all, I think they started off as friends, and not like friends forever and all that stuff. They try to tell you like you have to be friends before you can become a couple. I don't think that you have to be the best of friends before you become a couple. That's not what I think. But I think you have to have a base of something before you turn into something else. Yeah, so they have that. And he understands her in a way that, no one else can. I don't think so. Because you could say he has a silver spoon in his mouth and stuff, but he's had to go through his own things of worrying about if his parents are happy and stuff. So there are different struggles, even if you have money, you know, where she didn't have money, she didn't have family support. So it's like she's a new person without really a past and all the other stuff, but she's got emotional scars and stuff. So they match well. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the other thing I want to talk about here, and then this will be the end of it. Uh, I've seen it a lot in the past years where I'm going to talk about women for a second and women characters. Okay. Um, I've seen it where they either have the demure chick who doesn't do anything and everybody loves, but she feels a little lost, right? Because she just pleases everybody. She says yes to everything and that whole thing. Okay, that's one side. I call them the good girls because they don't say no. They go with the flow, the whole thing. Okay. Then you have the bad girls or the ones who don't just agree with everything. And this is a trope that every kind of everything uses. I mean, daytime, prime time, you call it, they use the bad girl thing. Okay, but more often than not, when someone is bad, they always attach a past to them and say that they had trauma, therefore that's why they're bad because they had trauma. Therefore, they hurt people. Um, and what I didn't want to have happen with Claire, for example, is turn her from a good girl to a bad girl or whatever. You know what I mean? Which some people could argue that she was kind of a bad girl to begin with, but then the same people could argue that because of her family and non family, that's why she was bad because she was trying to get approval of her family, and her family dynamic was completely messed up. And then she was getting approval because her aunt Jordan, who raised her, said you have to scam people and all the rest of it. So that's why she was bad. Okay. But in her case, I wanted her to have some chutzpah because it seemed like everybody was rolling over her. And finally, she was like, no, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with you doing whatever you did and not telling me about it. So I approve. Now, I'm going to give you a bad example. Audra. Now, You may or may not know this, and I didn't know this until somebody told me. But the lake of silver is of Latin origin. And this is important because, not because of the origin, just because of what I'm going to say here. Okay? Spanish people, Hispanic people, the whole thing. We have spice. Okay? Spice means we're not going to put up with your, and we call you out on stuff. Okay? And in the beginning, they wrote Audra like that. But now they're writing her like I don't know what. Because she just wouldn't take anything from anybody when she started. And now they've kind of taken that away. And I don't understand what they're going to do with the character because I just don't get it. And if Claire and Kyle, okay, and this goes back to Audra too. If Claire and Kyle get together and get married and whatever, right? Then what are they going to do with Audra? What are they going to do with Audra and Nate? Because I thought they were going to break up Audra and Nate so that either, well, then Nate could be with Victoria, but then you say, who's Audra going to be with if you go along with that? So then, and I thought Kyle was going to fall back in the trap of being with Audra. So the fact of Claire and Kyle getting together, it kind of messes that whole thing up. But then what are they going to do with Audra and Nate? Are they going to find their way back to each other? Because it doesn't seem like that. Because it seems like Audra said, I'm done with it and I don't want to talk about it anymore. And if she goes back to the way she was, when she says that, she really means it. So I don't know. That's the one question I have left in this whole thing. And that's the one hole that I can't say why there's a hole there. I'm kind of perplexed by this. So we'll see. All right. Bye, guys.